Hi, everybody. Good morning, and thanks so much for attending this breakfast to our Feel Good Lux Tech. I'm tongue-tied. Today we're going to focus on the luxury that you can have in-home. A lot of our clients, they are focused on some of the best that life provides. But when it comes to the home, there's so many things that we can give them and provide them and hit all of our senses. We're going to be talking about clean air today, and Shelton is going to start off with that. We have Jason Evans, who's going to talk about lighting, and we have Chris Sharp with Bravas, and he's going to be talking about sound. So these are the three kind of basic things that are happening and the things we take for granted, and when they're off, we take great notice. So I'm going to begin introducing Jim. You can tell a little bit about yourself.
Good morning. My name is Jim Shelton. I'm the Director of Strategic Partnerships with Greenheck. And it's interesting, Greenheck is really not well known, and that's one of the questions I usually ask when I'm doing a boardroom meeting, and it's rare that anybody puts their hand up in the residential market that they've heard of Greenheck, but Greenheck is really the leader in commercial ventilation. And if we are on top of the roof, there's probably a good chance that our products are up there. But what Greenheck saw was that what's happening on the residential side is very similar to how we handle the commercial side, with the codes and indoor air quality and some of the hospital ventilation, some of the critical things we do. They're becoming very similar. And our products, our high performance products, are really needed to provide code compliance and just effective healthier indoor air, and then the way that indoor air quality needs to work is very similar to the commercial side, where on the commercial side you might have a mechanical engineer. Well, here we have integrators, and we have home energy raters and contractors and builders. And the one thing that's being very clear is that there needs to be collaboration with that whole group to come up with a cost-effective solution. And that's the way we do business on the commercial side. So they basically hired me. I have a background, was with Panasonic for 19 years. The last 10 I ran their residential ventilation, but wanted to move into residential and kind of utilize our smart products, our high technology products that we use on the commercial side, and use those, but along with this collaborative approach to coming up with solutions, good solutions, but cost-effective solutions, because I think that's what this industry needs. So,
Great. Yeah. Do you want to give an introduction?
My name is Jason Evans. I'm with Jasco Products. I'm based out of Arizona, but Jasco is a family-run company based out of Oklahoma City. Been in business for 49 years. Most of you actually probably have Jasco products in your home. You just don't know that we made them. We've long had very strategic branding alliances with many different brands, including Disney, GE, Philips, etc. But really, over the last 4 to 5 years, we've begun developing a line of products that's exclusive to the professional channel. And that's really exciting because it allows us to focus solely on really what's going to make the homes better, healthier, more appealing to a modern home buyer today. So it's really been an exciting journey, and it's been a really neat transition to see this family-run company really strive to do something different than what the rest of the industry is doing for home builders, and it's exciting to be a part of it.
And Chris?
Good morning, guys. My name is Chris Sharp with Bravas. I'm our Director of Business Development. And what we're trying to accomplish with Bravas is take all of these wonderful systems, whether it's air quality, lighting, audio, really anything in these beautiful luxury spaces, and harmonize that environment where the homeowner can experience that the way that they intended. Right, like they're building these luxury spaces because they want to feel a certain way. They want to experience something. They want to be healthier. They want to experience something they haven't previously in their home. So at Bravas, we leverage technology and partner with different manufacturers to really create that harmonized environment. We have offices in 19 cities nationwide. We do jobs in nearly every state. I just got notified last night we will be going to Singapore for a job. So next time you're in Singapore, look me up. But so yeah, that's what we do, and we're really excited to be here and learn more how we can partner with you guys to really harmonize your luxury spaces.
Great. And I didn't introduce myself. My name is Tara. I work for Kenneth, Vona and Son Construction. He's a master builder in New England. I also worked for an integrator for years, so I kind of know both sides of the coin and appreciate that I've been invited to kind of move our panel and learn about the synergies, like Chris mentioned, the importance of these three elements that I think once you have an integrator at the table can educate the client and let them know what's available, the tiers of the different luxury components that they can have. So we're going to start talking about clean air, and you're going to take it away.
The interesting thing is, with ventilation and indoor air quality, there's been a lot of focus on health and healthier homes, and a lot of research done on the impact of not having proper moisture removal or moisture management and mold and mildew. A lot of research done on radon and the effects of radon. A lot of looking at a lot of research on asthma and that you used to get asthma as you were maybe a child and you would grow out of it. Now people are growing into it, and a lot of it has to do with indoor air quality. But what's kind of new is kind of focusing on and looking at the impact of IAQ on wellness, because that's kind of different. I mean, it's related, but it's different. And I thought it was interesting, with this opportunity, it made me do some digging, and you're starting to see research out there. And what I have on this slide is really representative of a research project that Harvard just completed, and they're finding there really is a big impact on mental health, wellness with indoor air quality, and that definitely poor indoor air quality is definitely linked to anxiety, depression, mental disorder, and then looking at the different things, and then the same things that we've been looking at from a health point of view is VOCs, volatile organic compounds, the off-gassing that we'll see in homes, especially new homes, when you have new carpeting or and that's where some of the selection of materials comes into play, because there's some carpet and fabrics and things that don't off-gas as much, or paint. But it's interesting when you're doing indoor air quality monitoring in a new home. It's really kind of bad, because all that in that new home, all those VOCs are very evident. And when a homeowner moves in immediately and says, "Hey, I got an indoor air quality system and healthy," and then they start looking at their app and looking at it, and the VOCs are through the roof. It's just interesting. But the VOCs are have impact on different things and brain functions, and then you get back to the mold and mildew, the biological contaminants. There's things that they have impact on too. Getting into mood disorders and depression. You see reports where families have moved into a home that has mold issues, and it impacts the entire family. And sometimes severely. And then there are more studies on CO2 levels. And high CO2, and some of this was coming out of after COVID, when you had people, we were all sealed up together, and the CO2 levels were going. We were producing the CO2 levels. But what's just interesting is that there is a big correlation, not with indoor air quality and just health, but also wellness. And I thought that was interesting. I also kind of want to talk about the trends that we're seeing as a manufacturer out there, and that is driving the advice that we're providing to our luxury home builders that we're working with. And the other thing, just as from a marketing point of view, that luxury buyer demand for indoor air quality is through the roof, and it was indoor air quality was probably a home buyer's number one concern before COVID. And then after COVID, it's just, so here, I'm referencing some studies done with Green Builder Media that, 92% say it's extremely important, or very important indoor air quality, and 85%, would pay more for a house that's deemed healthier. I already talked about the rising asthma rates. The childhood asthma continues to grow, but then, like I said, you're also seeing adult asthma, which is new. It's not something we've experienced in the past. I think the other thing that's contributing, are the energy codes that are driving the homes to be built tighter and tighter, right? So we're sealing that. That was a question that came up yesterday in our board. Were the homes, the leaky homes, were they, that weren't as energy efficient, were they healthier? Yeah, they were. Because you had cracks, you had fresh air coming in, you had unhealthy air leaving. Now we seal them up so tight from an energy efficiency point of view. If you're not adding, high performance mechanical ventilation that's removing unhealthy air, removing moisture, bringing in fresh, clean air, you're gonna have problems. And I think that's impacting it too. And that's kind of tied to the kind of next thing is even the government energy efficiency programs like Energy Star, which a lot of builders are participating in, and a lot of them are participating to get the 45L tax credit, the $2,500. Then the more advanced, like the Zero Energy Ready or now the new Next Gen, they all have very stringent mechanical codes, but that goes back to the tight construction. And then the other thing that we're finding, which is interesting, is the Department of Energy Building America program. With all this going on, they did a nationwide study on ventilation and indoor air quality systems in new homes across the country. And they found that it was kind of shocking that 67% didn't come close to meeting code. And we're talking about airflow, which is really what it's about. Didn't come close to meeting code, and it was like 33% basically moved no meaningful airflow. And so that's shocking. So we're sealing them up, and the traditional, let's say, non-smart ventilation products on the market really weren't designed to move the amount of air in a common installation, and they're not. So that's where I talk to a lot of builders out there, and they're calling me for the first thing is that our ventilation systems are not meeting code. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because what's changed is the Energy Star and the new codes require a home energy rater to actually measure the airflow. And we've known this for years, that most of us live in homes that there's really not much effective ventilation, but now it's actually being tested. And that's a trend that's impacting this too. So with those trends out there, the advice that we're talking to our builders about is looking at the compliance risk, because a lot of them, like I said, even in the luxury homes, they're tying in energy efficiency, and they're building to Energy Star or Zero Energy Ready. Those are kind of tied together with luxury homes. The luxury home buyers want energy efficient homes. They want healthier homes. So making sure that you're eliminating the risk of not being compliant and have to do reworks or have delays. And then, going back to the home buyers, this is one of their greatest demands. If you don't give it to them, what are they going to do? I mean, if they're in a home that they don't feel like they're getting indoor air quality, or their mirrors are fogged up and there's moisture on their bathroom walls, what are they going to do? They're going to call. So you're either, even if you pass code, you're going to run into complaints and maybe even ultimately warranty situations, because they're not going to let it go anymore. It's something that's very important to them, and if they don't feel like you gave it to them, then they're going to be complaining about it. And then I think there's a market opportunity that if you are putting in smart ventilation products in an indoor air quality monitoring system, that's very marketable. So you might be doing it to meet code, or might be doing it because it makes sense, and it's kind of a simple solution. But also then you have the ability to start differentiating yourself from your competitors by, hey, we have indoor air quality, and enable and to market that. So that's kind of the advice that we're giving the builders that we're working with. It's interesting. The concept of smart fans is new. It's everything. I mean, smart gets used a lot, but if you really look at that, these are special fans that are different than what's normally going in homes, and they truly are smart. And it comes to the motor. They have an EC motor, electrocommutated motor that has adaptive constant CFM technology. So that's just the simple way is if you need a certain amount of airflow to meet code or to make sure you're effectively delivering healthy indoor air, and you set the fan for that airflow, the motor's going to make sure you get it, because it's going to look at the static pressure in the installation, and this is probably more than you want to know, but it's going to adapt to that and make sure whatever airflow you need, you get. In fact, when we're dealing with builders, we'll guarantee that you'll get the airflow that the design and to meet code because of the motor and some of the engineering support that we can provide. So these are very very quiet. That's important. That came up yesterday in our boardroom meeting with luxury home builders. So they're whisper quiet, which I'm borrowing that from my past. But yeah, they're very quiet. But then like I said, they're smart. And then you can also build in, with them being smart, you can build in some demand controlled operation with sensors. You can add integrated motion sensors, humidity sensors. We're the only ones in the market that actually has a CO2 sensor. So adding these fans is really easy. It's just replacing what you're normally putting in. So it's simple, it's easy, and it's kind of cost effective because right now, Greenheck's going to market factory direct. So a lot of times you can upgrade your fan, but you're actually maybe even saving some money, because of the go-to-market strategy. And then, kind of the same lines, we were talking about this some yesterday in some of the boardroom meetings, the energy recovery ventilators. And these are more indoor air quality fans where it's not just exhaust, it's not just getting unhealthy air and moisture out of the house, it's doing that, but it's also bringing in fresh air at the same time. So it's bringing fresh filtered air, and then with an ERV, both those air streams, the exhaust and the supply, are passing through a core, a paper core, where they don't intermingle, but there's a heat exchange or a moisture exchange. So you end up bringing in, in the winter, you're bringing in warmer air, and you've actually put, instead of warm, dry air, cold, dry air, you've warmed the air up, but you've also, transferred some moisture on the conditioned air that you were sending out. And then the summer, it's just the opposite. So you're kind of getting indoor air quality, but energy efficiency tied into one. And this is where the ERV is where are seeing that really a lot of builders are going either to meet code or just the luxury builders, because it's really a simple way to provide indoor air quality. Once again, these fans have the smart EC motor with a constant CFM adaptive technology. And the other thing we do that no one else does is we actually have a technology, it's called a piezometer, in the duct collars where there's like, when you look at it really closely, there's little holes, but we're actually measuring actual airflow. So it gets back to trying to meet the codes and knowing exactly what your airflow is. With our ERVs, it's not an auto balancing where you're probably close to this. We can tell you exactly what the airflow is when you commission the system. What's the maximum supply, what's the maximum exhaust, and then you can fine tune it to meet your indoor air quality requirements or to meet code. So ERVs are really coming on strong, especially in certain climate zones. Especially the northern climate zones, it's a lot more. It's popular up there, and some of the codes are dictating that. Like Minnesota, in a new home, you got to put an ERV in. You don't have a choice. It's code. So we got the fans, both smart exhaust and smart ERVs. But the thing that we talked about yesterday and talked to a lot of builders is that, okay, well, I did this, but how do I show the homeowner what I did? How do they know that they have indoor air quality? And that's where indoor air quality monitoring really comes into play. I think it's vitally important that you've got to be able to show them, and the standard even desk mount indoor air quality monitor has been very popular out there on the market. I always think it's funny. I kind of equate it to the commercials where, you know, I'm a bank monitor. I'm not a bank guard. I'm just the bank's being robbed. I thought I'd let you know. It's kind of like most of them are like, hey, you got really bad indoor air quality today. Have a nice day. You know, they don't. But I think what's been missing in the industry is combining the monitoring and the control, right? And having a smart system that says, okay, we have high VOCs. And it's telling the homeowner you have high VOCs, and it's also telling the homeowner, you know, why do you have that? You know, this could be off-gassing from carpeting, or did you paint? Or would you do something so that because the homeowner wants to know, okay, I got a problem, but why do I have a problem? And then what are you going to do about it, Mr. IAQ system? And that the system activates, in this case, would activate the energy recovery ventilator and bring in more fresh, clean air to dilute the VOCs. And then most importantly, probably tell the homeowner, you know, that, hey, it's all good. It's all clear now. We took care of it. So this is what's becoming really, really important. You're seeing a lot of manufacturers that are out there, and I think that's where you kind of get into the collaboration, because you've got the system integrators, you got an HVAC contractor, you might have a electrical contractor, you got the builder, you got the rater. That's where we're going to have to come together. In fact, the program that we provide at Panasonic, we call One Team. So, well, you know, I work on behalf of the builder as your representative, and I go work with the you know, in hand with the integrator, and hand in hand with the rater, and hand in hand with the contractors together to come up with a cost-effective solution. But this one I like that we don't manufacture this, but we've partnered up with this company called Haven IAQ. And you know, and our engineers have worked with them, so it's, you know, it's integrated to work with especially our energy recovery ventilator. But what I like about this one is it's actually measuring air. You know, so the monitor is not a wall switch, which to me, if you really look at it from indoor work, it doesn't make any sense to put indoor. You know, like you see the ones that, and my past company does that too. But you know, they're in every room of the house. One thing, it's very expensive. I mean, you know, the other thing, it messes up if you've got, you know, your controls or something on the wall. You know, now you go, I can't use that. You've got to use this. But I don't know too many people want to use $80 wall switches throughout the entire house. And like I said, if you're going to measure indoor air quality, the wall's not the greatest place to do it. You really want to measure the air, right? So this goes in the duct, and it measures the air, and then it has, you know, a wireless connection to the controller, that the controller can control my ERV. It can either bring in more fresh air, or it can you know, exhaust more unhealthy air. But it also can tie to a, you know, filtration device, a filtration fan. So if it says, hey, we see high particulate matter, you know, there's a lot of particles, the air is dirty, we need filtration, it can take care of that. Also, it can tie to a dehumidifier. It also, you know, Haven believes in open protocols. So when you're sitting there, okay, I don't want to use this app and this app and this app, you know, they work, you know, very hard with other manufacturers to make it where they can incorporate theirs into other manufacturers' apps, or open up the protocol to get that done. They recognize that. But the other thing is really cost effective. So really, you know, I guess, you know, our main theme is that you know, this needs to happen. You know, the home buyers want it. You know, you're getting driven to it several different ways, from energy efficiency and from codes, but also demand. But it's not hard. I mean, it's just you're replacing, you know, I'm not going to say dumb fans, but you know the standard fans on the market with smart products. They're not really more expensive. In fact, you know, like I said, if you're working with Greenheck, you know, in most cases I'm saving builders 20 to 40% because we're not going through distribution. And then, you know, this is an inexpensive monitoring system where, you know, all of a sudden, hey, we provided indoor air quality, and we provided you an indoor air quality monitoring system, you know, and here you can look exactly what it is, and it's simple, easy, and it's cost effective. And you know, so that's where I think there's a real opportunity, because, you know, there's no doubt when you look at the trends that, you know, this is a group that needs to address this. So
Great. Thank you, Jim. I think on the marketing side, I think it's a big selling factor for you to get in front of it, to kind of set yourself apart, because everyone understands that there's codes to be met, But if they know that you're conscious about their well-being, their health, that the air quality really matters to you, and that you want to put a system in that's best for their well-being, you have their attention, because they have so much on their mind on the home, their dream home, and the expectation is clean air, and I expect you to do it right. But I think they need to understand what that means, and I think it's a great selling point and important to be right at the start of a conversation. So appreciate that.
Yeah.
And then one thing we didn't talk about is like retrofitting and restorative projects. Is this something that, I mean?
Yeah, no, everything I talked about is, the bath fans are designed to be retrofitted from below the ceiling, where you don't have to get in the ceiling. You can take the old fan out and install the new fan from below the ceiling. A lot of ERVs are going in existing homes. They just, instead of having their separate ductwork, they actually tie into the air handling ductwork that you have and drop fresh air in on the supply side of your air handler. And this system can be new construction and very probably even easier be more of a retrofit or existing home.
Okay. And as far as when you get like a ping, the air quality is off, is there service plans or people who can have that and be proactive before the homeowner?
Yeah, I mean, these systems need to be maintained, especially the ERV. It has a filter, that needs to be cleaned, or depending on which one you get, or changed out, and especially if you're using a more of a MERV 13 or more of a HEPA filter, and then the core needs to be cleaned out too. But the system, being smart, knows that it's dirty. And will tell you it's dirty, or it can even, can just notify, if you don't want to mess with it, notify your contractor, that they need to take care of it. But yeah, if it starts, looking at that, hey, I need service, it tells you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And now we're going to have Jason talk a little bit about lighting. So take it away, Jason.
So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about circadian lighting. Even before I get into this, what's really interesting, and if you haven't kind of caught on to this today, yesterday, or even prior to coming to this conference, wellness is a big topic in the home building community right now. And I think it's a big topic. I mean, some of it definitely came out of the COVID era, but more so than that, our consumers are demanding better performance from their homes. It's obvious, when you look in the marketplace that, as home builders, maybe not so much in the luxe category, but if you're going to get somebody to leave their current home, you got to have some convincing message and marketing behind it. And just new isn't necessarily better, right? I mean, if Yugo wanted to, they could build a car today and build the exact same thing they were building years ago and offer it as a cheap alternative, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean it would sell just because it's a new car. We want better. And when you look at car manufacturers, I think oftentimes they kind of set the bar for what home buyers expect, because they've created this unified product that works seamlessly and delivers all of the expectations that the consumer wants. And I referenced it yesterday. I mean, I saw a commercial recently for Mercedes-Benz that didn't talk about anything in the car other than air quality. That was it. That's all they talked about. They didn't talk about the performance of the car, the 0 to 60, the engine, nothing. Whether it was electric or gas, I'm not even sure. They were talking about air quality inside the cabin of the car. And so, whether it's going to be a production builder, or those who are moving from a production-built home to a step-up Lux home, whatever it might be, those people who bought that production home are going to see, and they're going to get this technology in their production home. You're guaranteed they're going to want this, or at least this, if not more, in their production home, in their custom home as well. So what we've done at Jasco is we've really developed a product that's geared towards helping to regulate your circadian rhythm. Most of us have probably heard about our circadian rhythm, but just as a quick review, it's how our body regulates our 24-hour cycle from wake to work to relax to sleep and back again. That cycle is really driven heavily by light and exposure to natural light and natural light color temperatures. When we're not getting that exposure, our circadian rhythm gets pretty out of whack, and that can cause all sorts of health problems, from sleep apnea to obstructive sleep disorders, insomnia, you name it, hormone imbalances, just really all sorts of problems that are associated when we're not getting proper rest. So what we want to do, and what we're doing, is focusing on, okay, how does light help manage that? And the beauty of this type of a panel is, of course, this heavily plays into it. Indoor air quality is important. Light's important. Being happy in your home, the audio portion of it is important. We see circadian lighting in our daily lives. Lighting is used, if it sounds kind of devious, lighting is used to manipulate us. And I don't mean it isn't devious, but it's just natural. It's our body's natural response. When you go into an Apple store, that lighting is going to be at 4,000 or 5,000 Kelvin. It's bright, it's cool color temperatures. They want you to feel fantastic about spending thousands of dollars on a device in your pocket that you're going to drop and break the screen on it, right? So, I mean, lighting is used in every area of our lives that we can think about. If you think about when you go to a restaurant for a business lunch midday, if they're a well-managed restaurant, that restaurant is bright, they've got a consolidated menu, they know that you need to get in and out of there, they want you in and out of there as quickly as possible, right? You come back in the evening, all of a sudden those lights are much warmer color temperature, they've dimmed them down, there's gonna be music playing. Why? Well, they want you to spend some time there now. They want you buying more alcohol. We eat more in the evening with under those warmer color temperatures. So again, we see light influencing our behavior and the way our body responds. And your body's going to respond to that regardless of whether you desired that response or not. So you'll have noticed now when you go to Home Depot that the light bulb aisle grew from this size, 5-10 years ago, to now being an aisle or two, right? And consumers are faced with choices. What color temperatures do they want? What style of bulb? Is it dimmable, not dimmable? There's all sorts of choices that they're having to make now, and they're not always making the right choice because they're not even certain what that all means. So you got a consumer that says, well, I really like that cool 5,000 Kelvin daylight color temperature in my home. Well, that's great for midday, high energy, wanting to promote work in the home. That's the worst color temperature you could possibly put in your bedroom when you're trying to go to sleep at night, right? So we see light influencing our lives, and really what we're talking about is making that influence a positive influence throughout the course of our lives, the course of our day. So within our world, within Jasco, we've got our Jasco Pro. It's called Smart Cycle. It's our circadian lighting solution, app-driven, which is really nice. One of the beauties of the product is that for the electrical contractor, there's no significant change to electrical wiring in the house. So traditional switch locations on the walls, traditional electrical wiring, which means for an electrical contractor, it's an easy solution to install. Post move-in, you'd have a white glove service provider, perhaps the low voltage contractor who's going to come in and commission the system, and that's usually a couple hours worth of time. So it makes it very easy for them to use. But I do want to point out some of the key differences. From a performance perspective, there are some key differences, and one of those is CRI. That may be a term that you're familiar with, maybe not, but it refers to color rendering index. Again, with incandescent bulbs, that didn't exist. With LEDs, it does, because we have to produce lights to be accurate. So all of our devices are 92 CRI or better. 100 is perfect. 100 is the sun. 100% of the time, the sun is the perfect light that your body needs. But we don't live outdoors. We live indoors. So we're trying to produce accurate light. There's a few other things that come into play too. R9 is a phosphorus, it's the red phosphorus. We push that up very high to be able to produce those warm color temperatures that we need. All of our devices are RGB WW, and again, why does this matter with regards to being able to do circadian lighting in general? Well, we need to be able to do from 2000 to 6500 Kelvin. So 2000 is candlelight, very, very warm color temperature. And it almost looks yellow. You go up to 6500 Kelvin and you would swear we turned off white entirely and we just turned on some sort of cool blue color temperature. So very, very blue in color temperature. What we're doing throughout the day, or what circadian lighting does throughout the day, is it automatically adjusts based on geolocation to match the ideal color temperature for that time of the day. So that your body is naturally following through the natural cycle that it would want to follow. So that color tunability is really the key to circadian lighting, right? Matching natural color temperatures. It was kind of an anecdotal story, but several years ago when we were working on the product development for this and marketing got involved and they're starting to come up with their marketing messages, one of our marketing gals saw that the lights were RGB WW, so red, green, blue, white, 2000 Kelvin to white, 6500 Kelvin. And she said, well, I don't think I'd like that. I like natural light. And we said, well, bingo, that's what we're talking about here, natural light, right? We're not talking about wanting your lights to be red, green, or blue all day long. We're talking about your lights automatically adjusting to match natural light throughout the course of a day. And then, light bulb went on and she got it. I mentioned most of these specs already, so I won't go into them much further. But ultimately, it really is about having the optimal color temperature of light to match that time of the day, which is going to drive the desired processes that happen naturally within your body. And those things are happening, like I said earlier, just in the background. You might not realize that they're going on, but they are. I mean, you think about later in the evening, your body does not produce melatonin if you're being exposed to 4,000 and 5,000 Kelvin color temps. All of a sudden, when your body's exposed to those warmer color temps, your body starts producing melatonin. So that means you're not having to pop melatonin gummies every night to try to go to sleep, right? Again, these things are naturally happening in your body, whether you're aware of it or not. And so we just want to automatically promote those natural processes that are happening within your body. I love this slide. The benefits are just tremendous. We talked about emulating natural light. Why? Well, we spend a huge portion of our day inside. More of us are working at home. You might have parents that are homeschooling children. I mean, we're just inside a lot. And that's why Jim was talking about how important air quality is, right? We're inside a ton, and we need to make sure that we're putting those systems in place. One that we really haven't mentioned, but is really key, is actually safety. And you're probably thinking, safety? Well, how is that? Well, we've probably heard of things like sundowner syndrome in seniors. That syndrome is really caused by a lack of exposure to natural light. And if you're talking about multi-generational homes where you've got children taking care of older parents, we see a reduction in slips, trips, and falls just based off of reestablishing those natural circadian cycles that we all experience. So there's a tremendous amount of benefits that come from it. We know that consumers want this. We know that they want better quality lighting in their homes. Most of us have become much, much more aware of lighting in general around us. I travel a lot. It drives me nuts when I walk into a hotel room and that light bulb's 3,000 Kelvin and that one's 2,700 Kelvin, and I've almost checked out of rooms in the past because it just drives me nuts. Or there's not enough light in the room, and then you're like, well, I can't even see anything in here. The lights are so dim. So we have become much, much more in tune to lighting because there's many, many more options. But we really want to try to consolidate that and make the option obvious for the homeowner, and that's that you want lighting that matches natural color temperatures. Benefits for the builders and for new home construction. Again, home buyers are expecting it. For our product, there's no additional labor required. So we're not going to that extreme to change the wiring topology of the home. Now, will we get there eventually? I think we will. I mean, we're not oblivious to the fact that there's amazing technologies out there where we could do, full PoE or DC powered lighting in the homes, right? I mean, there's some really, really cool stuff out there, but that's a monumental, titanic move of an industry to get everybody to go that way right away. But as we get, in particular, our production builders or our high-end production builders involved in this, then they start looking at that, and then we can kind of push the envelope a little bit and start getting the contractors to move to those new technologies as well. Sometimes that's a bit of a challenge, right? You got the electrician who's doing this, and new technology sometimes scares those guys a little bit, right? But as we get them more and more exposed to this, and we show them, what the benefits are from an installation and labor standpoint, et cetera, they warm up to it, and they're more prone to do it. And again, as home buyers make their progress through the homes that they're in, they're going to be 7-10 years in their current home. They're going to want to step up to another home at some point. They're going to expect that performance, right? So lots of benefits to it. Again, more cost effective. But ultimately, what I want to focus on this slide is really that differentiation. I learned a long time ago, that, and I think most of us in the room are old enough to remember this. If you had a just a stereo, amplifier receiver, it would have a loudness button on the front of it, and you wanted to make sure you showed your friends that loudness button, and you listen to your audio with the loudness button on because it just sounds better, right? And so maybe it was the loudness button in your car even, right? And so again, we're just differentiating, right? We want to push that loudness button and make sure that home buyers know that these are technologies that are available to them. This technology is really cool. This also plays into that safety emergency flash. Because our devices are red, green, blue, white to white, we can do all sorts of colors. And what we've done with the RGB portion of it is leveraged it to do emergency flash. So imagine being able to activate in the house through a button press at a wall keypad, or even on the app, or we've got some futuralarm.com integration coming as well, where we can now cause your exterior lights on the house to flash a red color, right? So red, 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 pause, red, red, red. So now when there's first responders coming into the neighborhood, they immediately know which house it is, a new neighborhood, not as well mapped, neighbors watching out for neighbors. Again, seconds really do matter, and that's what we're doing with the product. We're just leveraging what we already have built into it to create another safety feature. These are some of the products in our current family of product. It's a growing product family. Obviously, there's a lot of opportunities for different styles and types of bulbs in a home. And we know that, there's going to be, that need's going to ever be changing, whether it's MRs or, whatever it happens to be. But we've got a lot of products that are already out there that are doing these things and really make it, accessible for the average homeowner. And again, I think that as they are exposed to this, they're gonna want more of it in their future homes as well. So.
Great, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. I think the retailers are smart. For women, we go into dressing room, it's like 2,000 Kelvin, and like bathing looks really good, and then you go out in the sun, it's like, not so great. So it's a little unfair, but
the
they
task
do market
lighting is a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't necessarily think that circadian lighting would make sense in a bathroom or a closet, but yeah, your clothing looks different at 2,700 Kelvin than it does at 5,000 Kelvin, very much so. And if you're going out for the evening, you might want to be able to have a task or a scene that drives it to 2,700 Kelvin so you can see what you're going to actually look like.
We've been seeing a lot more of closet spaces having certain runway daylight so that they can put their makeup on or dress according and what their colors really are looking like. So
very cool.
A lot of fun. And do you encourage people to go to showrooms and actually experience the circadian flow and how that all works and the benefits?
Yeah, it's because it's new. It's so interesting. So definitely we have builders that are doing model homes where we're able to pre-program on that scene switch, like a wake, work, relax sequence, so that they can see, a sales agent can kind of talk them through what that would look like throughout the day. That cycle is happening so slowly throughout the day, you're not going to, sit there and watch it happen, but you can approximate it for sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
We'll be open for questions later, but we're going to start now with Chris.
Good morning, guys. So quick question for you all. How many of you are builders, contractors? All right, a lot of them, very good. I met some really great integrators yesterday. So I wanna ask you guys a question. When your home buyers come to you and say, I wanna build this new project, what are their reasons for doing so? I'm guessing one of them is they wanna be more comfortable, right? They wanna be healthier. Maybe they need more space and they need their family to be healthier. Well, a big part of that is discovering what makes that a healthier space. So I want to do a quick exercise here too. So in this room, right, think about the experience that we're having. Think about how we're feeling, right? There's bright lights, there's no music, it's just our voices being audible. Think about if there was, soft background music, like a nice restaurant or a really nice hotel lobby or a department store, right? These are comfortable situations. So there's no music in here now. So let's listen and think about how we feel when there's no music. A little bit different feeling, right? Maybe our heart rate's a little more elevated. We're kind of more on alert when there's no background music. So there's really important ways to do this correctly. And I really encourage you guys to really get to understand your buyers, get to understand how your integrator, how your AV person works, and really get to know what your client wants, because really what they're wanting is to be more comfortable. They want to be healthier. And I want to start with this slide because this is kind of a way to show how important it is to get out in front of these desires and really what the client wants. And it goes a lot into planning. Are you guys seeing that your integrator or whoever's handling your low voltage wiring, are they providing documents like this? And if the answer is no, then we're a little bit behind the curve on how to integrate these systems properly. So I don't want to go over this, but this is just an example of what it takes to do these systems correctly. And specifically for the audio, you've really got to have these wires run correctly way before we've even started installation drywall, of course, but really before we've even started construction, we got to have this planned out. And this, creating really great audio in a space for that nice enveloping background effect, that's not a single speaker in the corner of the kitchen that blasts audio and it's really loud when you're close to it, and then when you're 15 feet away, you can't even hear it. That's not the experience that we're looking for. That's not what your buyers, that's not what your homeowners are looking for. So keep these planning documents in mind. Whoever you're working with, make sure they're providing you with some very accurate ones. I'm gonna skip this one real quick, but music makes it home, right? So that's what I was discussing when we talk about how we feel in our spaces. There's a study, people who play music out loud, we're gonna share more meals together, over 5 per week and 42 a year, right? Like when you have your holiday meal that's coming up, or you have Halloween that we just had, or you have whatever meal it is, a birthday party, what do you also have with that? You have music, and that's all part of feeling good, right, in a luxury environment. And then 60% of people, they wanna go to a restaurant, maybe the food tastes the same, but when there's music and there's really comfortable audio, it tastes better. It's a better overall experience for what they're trying to accomplish. We talked about how restaurants can strategically place technology, I'll say, and utilize technology. So that's one example. Also, people who listen to music out loud, they share more hours together, right? We're spending time together. We're healthier. I mean, studies have shown that when you're conversing with people, you're communicating with people. As humans, we need that interpersonal interaction, and that leads to a little bit healthier life. 62% are happier and more likely to laugh, right? How many times in the 24 hours that we've been here in Pasadena have you shared a laugh with somebody that maybe you haven't seen in a year, right? Well, let's think about that. And it sounds interesting to think, well, how does music do that? Well, because it's an audible experience, and that's what creates that stimulus for laughter. I really love this slide too. So just kind of unpacking a little bit, 84% when we have music, we're gonna party a little bit harder, right? That's a different experience. We're happier, we have a different environment, right? You don't wanna, come over and we're gonna celebrate a graduation or something, and are we gonna sit here like this? No, we're gonna have audio. We're gonna have really great audio. 82% say music makes a party much more fun. Of course it does, right? Think about how, just how impactful music is, and think about the entertainment industry when you watch a film, right? The soundtrack and the score is just as important often as the cinematography. 76%, music tells more about a person than their tattoos. I think that's interesting, right? So you ask somebody, what was your first concert? Well, Motley Crue back in '84. Interesting. Or I'm a concert pianist and I had my first concert when I was 15 and I played concert piano. A little bit different story, right? So that's how you get to be a little more in tune with the people around you. 66%, yeah, we pick bars and restaurants based on the music. Would you guys agree with that? Yes, no, right? We don't want to go somewhere like, we were just talking about our parents. I'm not going to take my 80-year-old parents to, a dive bar that's playing that Motley Crue soundtrack, right? We're going to go somewhere else. So think about these, how impactful audio is to all your spaces. One more of these, 38% want to travel more, right? Maybe they're interested more in different cultures. I think that's really important, that 37% on the bottom there. We can learn a lot through audio, and we can learn about each other, and we can learn more about different interests that may not be our own. And that leads to a more communal environment and really a better experience. And that's really all I have to say about audio creating a better environment. And with audio, it's always hard to discuss, it's always hard to touch. But I really want you to consult with your home buyers and your integrator and all of these people, your interior designer on your project. Think about how that audio wants to make them feel, because that's really what your homeowners are telling you, is I'm moving to this house and I chose you to build this home for me because I want to feel different. And the audio is a huge part of that. And make sure we're planning it early. I cannot overstate that. You'll hear that a lot this week if you haven't already. And just make sure you're partnering with a great integrator. So looking forward to talking with you guys and understanding how audio affects your projects, and looking forward to keeping the conversation going.
Yeah. I heard something really interesting recently that, we're creatures of habit. So we usually do the hard work and then reward ourselves. But when we reward ourselves first, the dopamine with the music, we start our day, going to work isn't as bad. And it's a study even with kids, like I let my daughter be the DJ riding to school. Right. Her first subject's math, her least favorite, but she's already on that high. And so you start utilizing, that balance, and you feel good. You feel good, and you go into harder projects in a different mindset.
That's right. And I heard yesterday in our panel, yesterday afternoon, one of the things that somebody said luxury was not having an alarm clock. And you think about an alarm clock, you're talking about traveling, we travel a lot, right? And we set our phone alarm and it's, that's not great, because it's an audio experience that's uncomfortable. But imagine in your home, in your home buyer's home, you have luxury lighting that just gradually simulates the sunrise. You have audio that's very calm, that gradually progresses in volume to awake people in the house. That's the experience that luxury home buyers or home buyers are desiring. And audio plays a huge role in that.
Yeah.
It's interesting because any one of these is absolutely important. Mm-hmm. You put them together, and it's just, again, what's the experience that you're really trying to create, right? It's a much more compelling message for any home buyer. And it's really a differentiating factor when you start to incorporate air quality, light quality, audio. I mean, and others. There's others. You could be focused on water quality as well in the home. So there's others. These aren't the only limits of wellness in the home, but you combine them, and it's a very important differentiator for modern home buyers for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty incredible that you can put your zip code in and it knows the weather. So if it's raining, it'll adjust the lights, or it's like mind blowing, but it's an incredible opportunity for the clients to have this. And not to ever miss the air quality, because I'll tell you, if the radio's out, the light's not working. But if you get an alarm on your phone that the air quality's off, you're like military crawling to the front door, So all of that is important. So I'd love to open it up for some questions. Does anyone have any questions? I have a microphone over here.
I just want to say, go ahead.
Great, we have one right here.
That was a great presentation on the circadian rhythms of lighting. And are those bulbs, do they work through an app on your phone? So you can simply install the bulb and then you can adjust and
Yeah, they are. All of the devices, the in-wall switches, as well as scene switches, and the lights themselves are all connected to the Wi-Fi network in the home. So there's also a retrofit play for that as well, because we're not having to change out, electrical wiring. We're just changing out the devices themselves.
Super. And Jim, that ERV that you showed, is that an in-wall solution, or is the one that you showed on the screen there, is that one that connects to your HVAC system?
Well, it's generally mounted vertically on the wall, so it's a wall mount ERV.
So great for retrofits.
Well, I mean, it all comes down to, a lot of times on retrofit is room. How much room do you have? And that's one thing I didn't really mention about our ERVs, but they're very compact. They're a lot smaller than most, and so yeah, that one I showed is 180 CFM, so it's generally considered 200, but it's like 66% smaller than another 200. So it's a small unit, but it would be wall mount. But I also have a smaller unit that is actually ceiling mount. It's 110 CFM, but it would mount horizontally on the ceiling.
So maybe I didn't ask the right question. So that one that you showed, is it a fully ducted one, or is it a standalone?
Oh, so you're saying is it, these are ducted units. They'd either be ducted, if you're referring to Panasonic has that Whisper Comfort, which is the only one that's a ceiling insert ERV, and it's just got 2 ducts. No, these are fully ducted, and you'd either utilize your air handling duct, or you'd have which they call a simplified installation, or it'd be a dedicated where you'd install your own duct. Yeah, but they're fully ducted.
Thanks.
Yeah.
We have a little more time for one more question.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. We are in the process of renovating a home with 12-foot ceilings, and in the den, the designer was looking to put a solar tube in for natural light, and now they're looking at this light that has controls, can be adjusted, and it just sort of came to me, so I don't have any details, and supposedly the price is somewhere around $500 for this one bulb in the package. But so kind of the question back to you is the solid tube, the natural light, how do your suggestions, thoughts, ideas fit into that for this particular gentleman who's painting and would normally be outdoors painting, but he wants to have the right feeling when he's indoors?
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you can bring natural light inside, that's perfect. I mean, windows have become so much more energy efficient. We're seeing, larger windows, especially in family room, areas, spaces, great rooms, et cetera, even in master suites, you'll see a lot. So anytime you can bring in natural light, I'm a big advocate of that. I really love that, especially in areas where you don't necessarily want lights on all day, but you want the natural light. So it could be hallways, et cetera. And ultimately what we're doing is just trying to match what that natural light color temperature looks like throughout the day and automatically adjusting. So yeah, natural light is perfect. I have a solar tube in my hallway, and I love it because I don't need to really do anything during the day other than just have that natural light coming in.
In this case, I mean, the room is not large by any stretch. It's maybe 14 by 14, and there's sliding doors all along the side, but the solid sonotube would act as kind of a direct light, but again, it's an older. Anybody would prefer not to put a hole in their roof if they can. So kind of my question is, can one of these types of lights, or the type that you're talking about, be a decent? And we need to go and look at it and see what it is. But do you see that as being an alternative to?
Sure. Could be a great alternative or addition to, for sure. Absolutely.
And one more question, if I could, on the AC side. The linear vents, how does that affect the whole airflow? Because I understand it's more of the air sort of dropping down as opposed to blowing out. Do the long linear vents affect any of your thinking calculations?
You mean the linear duct runs, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I mean, and that's a great question, because that really is the issue. Is that you'll have a fan in the market that the box says it delivers this, but it's really tied to what is the installation? What is the, one factor is how long is the duct run? What type of duct? Is it flexible duct? Is it rigid, smooth? How many elbows? What's the termination? And the one thing about these fans is that they're designed to kind of calculate what is the installation and adjust accordingly. But that's kind of the problem. That's why when you're seeing that with a 67% of fans were failing, was really because of that, because the fan couldn't overcome either a long duct run or how it was installed. And it's interesting in some cases. You'll see people that for years I need 50 CFMs to meet code. I'm going to buy an 80 CFM fan. I'll be okay. Well, maybe not. Or they're buying 110 CFM. But what they don't realize is that if the static pressure in that installation and that run is at a level, the fan will actually shut down. So it's not like you're not really getting, okay, I bought a 110. I'll probably get 80. In some cases, you bought a 110 and you're getting 20 CFM. So the fan actually, because especially the EC motors, they can't compensate that and they just shut down. So we have some demos that we show where we have our fans, and I call it performance ping pong, where we take one of our fans and take a competitor's fan and then have duct, and then you put a styrofoam ball in the middle and you turn both of them on and may the best fan win. But what's interesting is you'll see the competitor's fan get to a certain point where the blower wheel stops because it can't overcome that static pressure. But that's kind of the beauty of our fans, is that they were designed for commercial applications as far as performance goes. And in multifamily or hotels, you have long runs, you have high static pressure, and that's why we can kind of guarantee performance, because we can calculate what. And that's something I should mention. We have some nice software, online software we can share with you, where you can go in and look at that, whatever application you have, whatever installation you have, and it'll tell you exactly what your static pressure is. Then you can just match it up to the fan and the airflow at that static pressure, and you pretty much know before you install the fan what your airflow is going to be. And that's why we actually offer guarantees. If you let us work with you and we help you design it, we both know what the fan's is gonna perform or meet code or do what it needs to do for you before you ever install it.
Thank you. I just want to thank everyone again for joining us. I always think of being a master builder as kind of like an hourglass, all this information, all the elements, all the things, and it's your job when that sand goes through that narrow part to make sense of it all and create a master beautiful home. And so that's why I love these summits and the collaboration, because these are the genius lanes. Everyone here is genius in their lane. They're willing to share the information just to make you look better in front of your clients. So I encourage you, if you didn't get to ask a question, to ask during the rest of the week. I hope I get to meet some of you, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you.